Hello, and welcome to the Antique Auction Forum podcast. This is Martin Willis, your host. And as I've talked about in the last couple of podcasts, people are trying to adjust to the new reality, and this is what the show is about today. I've got two gentlemen that are coming right up, and they are going to be talking about an idea to take Brimfield. If you're in the antiques world, I'm sure you know about Brimfield. I mean, even when I lived in California, everyone knew about Brimfield out there. It's a huge, huge market. I will ask, I don't know exactly how many people generally walk through, but there's no such thing as social distancing at Brimfield. And welcome to the show. I have, I should say who I have first. I have Justin Nash and Mike Lord. Welcome to the show, guys.
Thanks, Martin.
How are you doing, Martin? Thank you for having us.
Yeah, you bet. So, first of all, Mike, you know a little bit about the history. For the person that's unaware of the history of Brimfield, how did Brimfield come together? When and how did it grow to be so huge?
Well, I'm not quite sure on specific dates. My understanding how Brimfield started was a gentleman named Gordon Reed had a small plot of land in Brimfield, Massachusetts, and at an auction and brought some people all together for a flea market. Word spread that, it was a good way to go down and sell some used goods and find some things that you're looking for. And it just grew. His neighbor was Richard Mays. Richard Mays started a field, and things just snowballed from there, if you will. Fields added on. As time went on, advertising built up, and now it is what it is today. I believe at some points you could have 50 to 60 to 75,000 people there in May alone. It's just become pretty much the East Coast or Northern New England's premier antique event. And honestly, if you ask me, I've been all over the country. There's very few things that can even compete.
Yeah, I would have to agree with you there. Now, the thing that I remember when I first went years ago, I think I was in my 20s or something, and all the fields, I didn't understand the fields. Now, are these actually private fields that are owned by, say, families and businesses and stuff like that, like Shelton's and New England
Yes.
Motel is
Yes.
pretty obvious. Mm-hmm.
Yes. I go way back with Brimfield and the field owners. A few in general. My father, just to give you a brief history on where he comes from and how he's involved with Brimfield. He had a small electronics corporation in the late 60s. He sold out for a good amount of money back then. Thought he had life set. I came along. My mom said, well, we need some more money coming in. So he took himself off the amateur PGA tour and started slinging antiques and ice cream. One thing led to another. He moved out east, and he had an overstock of some inventory. He was in Amherst, Massachusetts at that time, and was asking around. Someone had said, well, listen, there's this big flea market in Brimfield, not too far. You might want to check that out. So he drove down. He actually talked to Gordon Reed himself, was told that the show was sold out. But his neighbor, Richard May, was going to be opening up a show for the very first time, and you might want to talk to him. So my dad went over there and spoke to him, got a spot, and that was I believe May of 1976, and that was the very first May show. Since then, my father has never missed a minute of any May show up
Wow.
until what's happened in the last couple of days. Last couple of months.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's his history on Brimfield, and I was born into it. I had no choice.
Same here.
He's been doing it for 46. He's been doing it for 46 years.
Yeah.
I'm 44. I've spent 4 years of my life in a hotel room in Sturbridge, Massachusetts, and I've never claimed residency in Massachusetts. It's just, it's in my blood, and that's why I'm involved.
Yeah. And Justin, what about yourself? What's your involvement has been with Brimfield?
I've been going to Brimfield and networking with different dealers and collectors for years. And basically we all were disappointed. The buyers, the sellers, the collectors, the dealers, everybody around the nation was kind of down and out and a little upset. And I couldn't stand there and watch, businesses go belly up or, people go hungry because these large antique shows weren't going on. Brimfield I enjoy going there and walking 40 miles in 5 days and getting dirt in my socks and, finding some treasures and some gems and connecting again with friends that I haven't seen all winter long. That, it was kind of the kickoff of the summer, and I would take a week off of work to be there, and, it's, you love it. So when I started talking to Mike and a couple other friends, and we said we couldn't sit there and watch it not happen. Instead, we wanted to, make lemonade with the lemons that we were given, and try to help give back to our community and industry. And, I actually own a barber shop. I buy and sell barber antiques when I'm not behind the chair. And, we decided to come together and make the best go of this and help the community and industry survive.
Excellent.
In fact, if I could add something, the reason that the friendship between me and Justin exists is because of Brimfield. I had a fairly rare barber sign. I gave Justin a great deal on it, and our friendship lost him. And that's how basically this whole thing started. If it wasn't for Brimfield and the meeting there, we wouldn't have spoken about this, and we wouldn't have brainstormed. We wouldn't have brought Tom Sloan in. All these things have snowballed, and it's basically because of our meetings and our interactions and our relationships in Brimfield.
Yeah, well, I get it. Well, all right. So how is this going to work? I guess, of course, obviously, no one's going to be setting up there, and I've only set up there once in my entire life, and it's grueling. You're talking about, Justin, about walking around with dirt in your shoes and all that stuff, but I know some real diehards, and they just sleep in the back of their truck the whole entire time there, and there's a lot of people that do that type of thing. But yeah, wow.
Absolutely. I've been known to sleep in back of the fields before and get out there at 3:34 in the morning and out there at night with a flashlight and, seeing what kind of gems and treasures you can find, and not worrying about the blisters on your feet, because you're so passionate and everybody loves it.
Yeah.
Yeah. But basically, starting May 12th at 10 a.m., we want to recreate the Brimfield experience. So starting May 12th at 10 a.m., anybody in the nation, it's 100% free. Anybody in the nation, whether you're an antique store, whether you're an antique dealer, whether you set up at the shows, whether you're a buyer or a picker, May 12th at 10 a.m., you can set up a digital booth the same way you would at Brimfield. You can do it in your front lawn. You can do it in your living room. You could do it in your bathroom, as long as I can help see everybody come together and be able to buy and sell in a way that's safe for everybody during these trying times. There'll be booths that are listed all week long. People can go on, they can like, comment, send a direct message to the seller. And then in the evening times, we'll have live events featuring live sales and live auctions with some of the best around the nation. Antiques, advertising, toys, collectibles, primitives, art, and so much more is being included. Pottery, we're seeing some really high-end, high-quality stuff, and we're seeing the best thing that we're seeing of all of this is the community come together and be so passionate about making a go of it online. And it'll be nice not to have the blisters on my feet. I'm gonna miss seeing everybody, but we're just hoping that everybody can make a go of this safely.
Yeah. So okay. So let's just we'll put it this way. All right. I'm interested in attending and looking, and I want to buy something. I'm curious, how is this going to get? How am I going to pay? How is this going to get shipped? How do I know that a person that I find on this page that I will indeed get the pieces shipped to me? Just walk us through how all that would. And you did mention, the live events. You can finish off with that. Either one of you can, and whoever wants to choose to discuss that whole thing, feel free
Sure.
to.
Well, the way the vision is, it's basically it's just like any other antique show. I mean, we're the platform for the dealer. Almost all the dealers that I know of in here that are participating are all professional dealers with years and years of experience. So they know, how to ship. They know what payments to use, how they can be contacted. It's just like business as usual. Just you're not outside. You're not under a tent. You're in your living room. You're in the garage. You're in the driveway. Maybe Justin can expound a little bit on that.
Yeah, I mean, there is secured forms of payment such as PayPal, where the buyer and the seller is both protected. Shipping arrangements can be made, obviously, for smaller items, but we've given the opportunity for every dealer to set their terms on the sales process. However, we do recommend that everybody uses a PayPal or something of the sort to protect both the buyer and the seller in the sale. Tracking information can be sent and uploaded, whether they decide to send it out USPS, or you can also set up with the dealer or the seller to pick up a larger item at another show or later on in the year. Larger items can also be shipped through various carriers, and we also have a great network with suggestions of how larger items can be shipped. But really, it's going to be a lot of one-on-one from the buyer and the seller, whether it be via comment in the comment section or a direct message. I mean, Facebook has created such a platform where you can Facebook message them, hit the phone button, and you can call them directly right through Facebook. And a lot of experienced sellers on here have also been guiding the less experienced people on how the process whole works and how everybody can do it safely.
And how will a dealer control the inventory? In other words, I see a Facebook page, pictures, and it's like a grouping of items. And hey, I like that men's watch on the left side and the bottom of that picture. That type of thing. How do they deal with that? Someone buys something in the picture. Are they going to have separate pictures?
It's unique to it's. I mean, we put up a framework of suggestions on how a booth works, but we're dealing with some very creative people here, some very smart people, and some people who like to have some fun. So you're going to see some varying ways of how their booths are going to be set up, but it's generally going to be this, along the lines of there'll be some pictures, there'll be some videos, there'll be some prices in there, ways to contact the dealer, their forms of payment, and the whole nine yards. You just have to picture it as a virtual digital antique booth where each booth is unique to each sole proprietor, and we're trying to keep it creative and fun. Let the vendor have that freedom, go out there and sell their merchandise the way they see fit.
Yeah,
and that's
Well, one of the things that always works with Brimfield is when everybody is waiting at the fence to get in, and all of a sudden they just burst in. Are you going to have any type of effect that will work like that? Like things are just going to pop on at a time, or is that just impossible?
But that's actually the hope. I mean, I'm hoping that there is some chaos at 10 a.m.
Sure.
I want 100, 200, 300 booths to pop up at the same time, and people, like, oh my God, which direction do I run? I mean, that's the kind of feeling, I want when they open the gates at Mays at 9 a.m. in the physical Brimfield world. People running as fast as they can.
Yeah.
For things that to the person next to them could be worthless, but to them is worth a lifetime of searching. That's what I love about it.
Yeah. I just got to tell a quick story because it's funny. It's a friend of mine who he deals in very high end, probably the most prestigious antique dealer in New Hampshire. You probably know who he is, possibly. But he said he was driving somewhere on a Saturday afternoon and saw this a rope in front of a property, and it said an estate sale. And so he thought he'd go check it out. And then he said, I found myself running for an OG clock worth about $25. He said, I have no idea why I was running, but why I did that. It is a psychology.
I've seen people bound by a walker for years throw the walker and just take off sprinting.
That's called a Forrest Gump moment.
As if touched by God himself. It's I don't know. You have to be in the business and have to be in the hobby and experienced to know what we're talking about. It's really hard to explain once you have that bug inside of you.
Yeah, I get it. I've been there many, many times.
Absolutely. There's no cure in sight, but your adrenaline starts pumping. You see something you love, you see something you want, and you just go running. And right now we have the gates kind of shut shut down until 10 a.m. on Tuesday, May 12th. You know, we have the gates closed. There's no pre-buying. There's no pre-selling.
Yeah.
Um,
The only way it would work. Yeah.
Exactly. And at 10 a.m. we'll lift the floodgates up and let everybody have at it. And we've each spoken to hundreds of dealers, hundreds of buyers, hundreds of sellers, some of the best in the nation. You know, some people that have never sold online before, but have, grade A collections that are going to be joining in the fun and participating and selling. And, we're really going to see some amazing things. And just to see the whole heart of this come together has really been a lot of the motivating factor behind all of us to push us to keep going, to wake up at 5 a.m. and work till 2, 3 in the morning, and burning the midnight oil and really digging our feet in deep to make sure that everybody succeeds during this.
Yeah, and if this works for this May, the May show, do you plan on doing it again?
I think that's something that we have discussed as a whole, and we really want to see where this goes, but we want to do what the people want, what the community wants, what the industry demands. I don't know that, we don't want to take anything away from the actual Brimfield. If anything, we want to add to actual Brimfield. So I think this is an opportunity for a lot of people that can't necessarily travel or have family or have kids or can't actually physically make it to Brimfield to also be a part of Brimfield. But that's something that I think we'll all discuss after this first one runs and see what the people in the community want to get out of this.
Yep.
Exactly. I think we actually have to pull it off first before we can actually, to see if it's even possible. I mean, I think it is. I think that the game plan is solid. And of course, with anything that's brand new and that has not been tried before, I mean, I'm sure there's going to be a bump in the road or two, but it's going to be smooth. It's going to be fun. And should the demand be there and the need be there, then it's something we can talk about.
Yeah. One of the, I think since I've been doing this show since this the isolating and this virus began, the best line I've heard anyone say so far was a podcast I did with several auctioneers, and one of them was Wes Cowan out in Ohio. And he said, either you're a collector or not. And the collector is going to want to collect, in these times. It doesn't matter what's going on. A collector is a collector. And
yeah, it runs in your blood 100%. I always tell people it's a disease that can't be cured. They haven't found a cure for it. And I'm always on the hunt. I'm always picking. And, people say, what are you doing this weekend? I said, I'm going hunting. And they said, it's not hunting season. I said, yeah, but we hunt for two different things.
Yeah. Yeah. It is. It's the hunt is what I think makes this happen, makes everyone get excited about it, and also the stories you can tell. I mean, I bet you, Justin, you're up on the screen now on YouTube, but I bet you can turn around and tell a story about every single thing behind you, that you 100%. And how you got it, and that's what we hold dear. And
to me, it's preserving the history of it. It's not just necessarily the item, but you're right. It's the story that is attached to it, the company that it came from, the historical element behind it. It's preserving Americana. And that's what I love is being able to spread the knowledge, spread the wealth, and make the collectors of the industry come together and have pride and passion in this stuff, rather than, like we talked about earlier, going to IKEA and buying a piece of particle board.
Yeah. Speaking of that,
you put it next to the air conditioner, and 2 months later, you spend another $300 for it. So I think I don't know. We need to make the antiques more fun again. Bring in some more people. Not treat it like, I hate to say it, great grandma's teacup antique show. I mean, there just needs to be more interaction, more stimulation. Just bring it into the 21st century, and let it roll.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot to be said about, technology that, young people may not be interested in, it's a bad word, antiques. They can deal with vintage, but, or mid-century modern or something like that. But the word antiques is, like, they picture cobwebs or whatever it is. But technology.
Well, if we could just figure out a way to sell pictures of antiques on iTunes, we'd be absolutely billionaires. But maybe someday.
But they love technology. So young people, you may connect with some young people just in your idea that you never would have before if you didn't do this whole situation you're trying out. You never know.
Yeah, I mean, you bring it to them. If they figure out that this stuff's out there and they can look at it on their phone very easily, then just maybe we could spark some more interest in anybody under 40 years old. I'm not saying it's not out there, but for some reason it just seems like it's just not important. It's not something that the younger people crave. And I'm not quite sure what happened and what happened along the way.
Well, there are the few, and there are the few. I've met them at antique shows and auctions where sometimes there's kids like 8 or 9 years old that either watched American Pickers or even the Antiques Roadshow, and they're really, really excited about antiques. So I'm glad that at least some of them. And those people will have the world will be their oyster, so to speak. When they gain
Absolutely.
the knowledge.
Well, I mean, a couple of the dealers that we will be focusing throughout the week at some of our live events. I have a 19-year-old kid who's taken over through his community, which is rare soda signs and local regional brands and that kind of thing. He's become a superstar in his community, and he's 19 years old. There's also two brothers, mid-20s, in their corner of the hobby. They're absolutely just crushing it. They're owning it. They're all over the country. They're making a name for themselves. And I think if some guys in that age range who are just exposed to all this, they might be able to see that, hey, I'm interested in that stuff. I could do that. Why not give it a shot? We could see maybe a little resurgence back into the game, if you were.
Right. Well, let's hope for it. So I want to give you the guy. Well, first of all, I never asked this question. Whose brainchild was this?
Basically sitting on a bed in a conversation, almost a joke. Just throwing ideas out there. My whole thing was, we were just, I mean, how it happened. It was a text message between Justin and I, and we were just like, oh, geez, Brimfield shut down, and I was like, geez, I got to do something. My father, we're not wealthy people, so missing the shows is really doing some harm for us business wise, and I was like hell bent that I wasn't going to let my father miss his 46th straight Brimfield, and something had to be done, whether it be virtually in his office or on the field. Some sort of Brimfield had to be there because we weren't going down like that. So generally, when I'm stuck between a rock and a hard place, I get creative. And Justin and I, we brainstormed, and we brought in a friend of ours, Tom Sloan. The three of us, put together the game plan, and we're letting it ride. And things have steamrolled, and things have come together nicely.
Now, how does someone like your father think about this whole situation?
He can't even send a text message, so we're not even going to go there.
That's what I mean. But what does he think about? Is he excited it's still going to happen?
He is so excited. I mean,
you there? Oops.
I think we lost him.
Yeah, I think we lost him. Well, that's too bad, but I was just getting ready to wrap up. So, Justin, make sure you say goodbye to Mike for me. And thanks so much. It's been a real pleasure, and I wish you all the luck. And
I will.
The Facebook page, throw that out there if you would.
Absolutely. Please, if everybody that's tuning in doesn't already know, please join our Facebook group, Brimfield Online. It's easy. Just go right to your Facebook, type in groups right in the search bar. It's Brimfield Online. You could also tune into our website as well. It's feelthebrim.com. Once again, that's feelthebrim.com. And we look forward to everybody coming together and seeing the community.
Excellent. All right, Justin, you take care, and the best of luck to you.
Thanks so much, Martin.
All right. Okay, everyone. Thanks for listening, and we'll be back next time with another episode.